Chicago Bears Now is presented by Manscaped. Get the best men's grooming products on the planet due to Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, use code BEARS20, and you are going to be feeling fresh all the time. All right, let's break down this Josh Lucas tell-all interview. I want to credit 670 The Score for getting him for about a half hour. If you don't know who Josh Lucas is, he was the former director of player personnel, under Ryan Pace. So he was with this organization through 2021, and he's done a couple podcasts recently. He does some stuff with NBC Sports Chicago sometimes, and did a full 30-minute sit-down with 670 The Score, Parkinson Spiegel. So kudos to those guys for getting a lot of information out of him, and these are some of the topics we're going to explore in here. Why was Mitch Trubisky the choice in 2017? He revealed a lot of stuff that had not been discussed before. How they almost ended up with Patrick Mahomes. That's painful to think about. 2021 QB draft rankings. He acknowledged that it was a rare and fortunate situation that they were allowed to draft another quarterback after missing out on Mitch, obviously, picking the wrong guy there. And then a couple other things. Did that Browns game, Fields' rookie year, damage him, and is that still being felt today? And obviously, he also discussed his opinion on where Justin Fields is at now. Is he surprised there's been some struggles? Lots of good stuff. I encourage you guys after this video to go watch that interview because I can't hit it all. But again, kudos to 670 The Score for getting that scoop. But first, before we dive into these topics, help us get to 75,000 subscribers here on Chicago Bears Now. We're almost at 74,000, but I want to zoom past 74 and get to 75. If you want daily content, the latest Bears news, rumors, juicy information like this, and my opinions on it when it comes out, you're in the right place. We'll also be live later today, probably 4 o'clock Central, so have those notifications turned on so you know exactly when we go live. All right, let's start here. Why the Bears chose Mitchell Trubisky? Well, Lucas says that the Bears were between Trubisky and Mahomes. We'll get to Deshaun Watson in a little bit, but just a little tease. He was not really in the mix here. Decided close to draft time that it was going to be Mitch. That was the guy they liked. However, there was a scenario based on what the information they were hearing that the Browns, who had the number 1 pick and chose Myles Garrett, could draft Mitchell Trubisky, and if that was the case, the Bears might have ended up with Mahomes. He said it might have been a trade-down situation because, remember, they picked at 3, moved up to 2 based on information they were getting. They didn't want to get leapfrogged for Mitch, so they did that. But had Mitch gone number 1, they might have stayed at 3, made a pick there, or moved back a few spots and drafted Mahomes because he said it was close between those two in their evaluations. And I want to give Josh Lucas a lot of credit because he took some hard questions from these guys, and he admitted they took the wrong guy. He said, look, I mean, our process was good. We just drafted the wrong guy. And he explained, because they were asked, they were like, why did you move up to 2 to draft Mitch if you really liked Mahomes as well? And he said, look, we had conviction on Mitch. And when you have that and you're in a position to draft a quarterback, you go get him, which I completely agree with. Yeah, it sucks they got the wrong guy, and that's very, very painful to think about when you look at what Patrick Mahomes has done. I mean, to me, he's the best quarterback I've ever seen. I know Tom Brady has had the best career. Mahomes hasn't reached those accolades. But in terms of just watching a guy play the position, I've never seen someone better. So that's obviously very painful to hear. But I do understand his processing of, listen, we zeroed in on Mitch. He was our guy. We got information that someone could leapfrog us. We went to go get him. And I think it's pretty interesting, too, that he mentioned that Cleveland considered taking Trubisky, but they ended up going with Myles Garrett. That's obviously worked out pretty well for them as well. But you just wonder, had the Browns bailed you out in a sense and taken Trubisky, could Mahomes have ended up in Chicago? We'll never know because that's not how it played out, but he heavily hinted at that scenario being a possibility because he said with Mahomes going 10, he knew that would be about the earliest he could have gone, so they could have traded down to the late single digits, early 10s, and perhaps gotten him had Mitch been off the board, but that was not the case. Now, they asked him about Deshaun Watson too, and he got peppered pretty good here, and he said, look, it was a pretty consensus second-round grade for us in the building. He said one coach on that staff gave him a first-round grade, but it wasn't a very strong one. Lucas basically said, look, we loved him off-platform, and when plays broke down, we did not think he could win from the pocket consistently enough. And look, I understand where he's coming from. He had accuracy issues at Clemson. The completion percentage was high, but those receivers made a lot of big-time plays, and his best ball was definitely out of contain. Now, I more embraced those dual-threat guys than it seemed like he did, just hearing him talk, but they were not as high on Watson, and that is what led to him not really being in the discussion for quarterback for the Bears that draft. Now, would Patrick Mahomes have worked out in Chicago? Because there's this idea here, well, the Bears break every quarterback, which is kind of hard to argue against, and it wouldn't have worked out here. And he was asked about that too, and he was like, look, would it have been as good as it was in Kansas City under Andy Reid with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and all those guys? Probably not, at least right away. But he said he's in that category of transcendence where he would have worked anywhere. Doesn't matter where he would have ended up. I have to agree with him. When you watch this guy, you're like, he would have overcome any obstacle. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Curious what Bears fans think if he would have worked out here. I know the history's bad, but when you get a guy that good, I think he would have found a way to work out. So let's fast forward, because Lucas said, yeah, we were fortunate to get another opportunity to draft a quarterback in 2021. And he said the consensus for the most part, people in the building, was these were their quarterback rankings. Lawrence was the top guy. They obviously knew they had no chance of getting him because he was going to go number 1. They had Fields as their number 2 quarterback. Mac Jones is their number 3. They weren't as high on Zach Wilson as other teams were, and they were not very high at all on Trey Lance. And he admitted he was surprised that the 49ers moved as much as they did to go up and get Lance and not take Fields. Again, you wonder for Justin's sake, like if he ends up with Shanahan, how differently that plays out for him. But I actually agree with this evaluation, and I think how it's played out is pretty accurate. You could say Mac Jones has been more consistent up to this point, but Fields' ceiling is so clearly higher. Like, and even though he's been struggling, like I think like his highs have him as the second best QB in that draft. But I think what's been interesting to watch play out is this draft hasn't really played out in as positive a way as we thought it would. We thought all 5 of these guys could have ended up being franchise guys, and the only one that for sure is Trevor Lawrence, and even he's off to a slow start this year, and it's not like he's a undisputed next 15-year starter. I think he'll be that guy for Jacksonville. He's been pretty damn good, but he's had some issues as well. Fields, obviously, he's trending down currently. I still think the jury's out. I do wonder if you get him in a different organization with a clearer vision, if he could be a franchise guy. I still have some hope it could be in Chicago, but obviously clock's ticking there. Mac Jones, I'll put him in the fringe starter category. I think he's going to end up being one of these like Andy Dalton types where he bounces around, he plays quality football, but he's never like a 10-year starter for somebody. Zach Wilson, clearly not the guy, and Trey Lance has already been traded. So obviously that one hasn't worked out. So I want to give the Bears credit. I think they evaluated this pretty well. Lawrence is the best. Fields is the second. Jones could be solid, and he did say there was some discussion between Fields and Jones heading into the draft, but the night before they kind of came to that conclusion, like, okay, if we move up, it's probably going to be to take Justin Fields, which is what they ended up doing, trading from 20 to number 11. A lot of good stuff to dive into from this interview. Again, go check it out on 670 The Score. Before we continue with my analysis and reaction to it, appreciate Manscaped for sponsoring today's show. Fresh ball fall is upon us, and you need to be in the festive spirit, guys. Light a candle, get some pumpkin spice, and make sure your balls look nice with Manscaped. The Lawnmower 4.0 going to help you do that. The best ball hair trimming product on the planet. I don't use any other products anymore. I tried different ones for years. You end up with razor burn, tug. Not with Manscaped. Advanced skincare technology is on the Lawnmower 4.0, and we've got a deal for you. Get 20% off with promo code BEARS20 at manscaped.com. It's got a wireless charging station. It's water resistant, so you can use it in the shower as well. Multitask. Clean your body, clean your nuts. You know how it goes. Manscaped, code BEARS20. Go check them out today. Your balls will thank you. That link is in the comments and in the description. Manscaped.com, promo code BEARS20. Get started with the best folks at Manscaped today. Okay, let's take a look at this part of the discussion too. They asked him, they being Parkinson Spiegel, asked Josh Lucas, can a game like Justin Fields' first start have permanent damage? And hate to go down memory lane, but just to remind everybody, in Justin Fields' first start, and reminder, this is week 3 his rookie year after you gave him no reps in training camp. The full plan, Andy Dalton's going to start. We're not going to play Fields this year. Andy Dalton suffers an injury, and it's like, oh, Justin, just go in there with no reps. They could have played Nick Foles if they were concerned. Nope, they went with Fields despite not giving him any reps. And it was just a train wreck. It was a disaster. 6 for 20, 68 yards. He got sacked 9 times. And I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever witnessed a worse game plan ever, just digesting football at the NFL level. They ran empty protection, 5-man protection fronts pretty much the entire game, and Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney just abused your offensive line, and Matt Nagy made no adjustments. Like, you almost go back and watch that game, and you're like, was Nagy on the Browns' payroll? I mean, I don't actually believe that, but it was shocking at the lack of adjustments that they made. I mean, they just got Fields killed in that game, and it was just it was brutal, man. It bothers me too, because you do wonder if that has had a lasting effect on his career, because you watch Justin Fields and he gets happy feet in the pocket a lot. He really, really does. And to his credit, later that year in his rookie year, he had his best passing game of his career against Pittsburgh and looked very comfortable. But he, at times when he evades pressure, it's not actually pressure. It's like he doesn't trust the protection. And you wonder, playing behind some bad offensive lines, getting destroyed in his first career start, like how much that has had a lasting effect, because Josh Lucas admitted it's possible. He said, yeah, a game like that could have permanent damage. He said he doesn't know if that's the case because he's not in the building currently, but he said, yeah, that could absolutely have permanent damage. And that's unfortunate if that's the case, man, because they just completely mismanaged their game plan for Fields. They needed to do one of two things, and I'm talking about the Nagy pace regime. Either have him be the third-string quarterback that year. You're not playing under any circumstance behind Andy Dalton and Nick Foles. You're going to learn. You're going to sit. We're not going to play you at all. But instead, they kind of did the in-between thing. Like, we're not going to give you reps in training camp, but we're going to make you the backup over Nick Foles. And if Dalton gets hurt, we're just going to throw you to the fire. What you should have done is, again, make him the third-string guy, or give him reps in training camp and embrace him as the starter from day one. Instead, they went in between and got him killed in that third game. And it just, ever since, at times, he just has not looked comfortable. So thanks, Nagy, for old time's sake. Long-time subscribers, you guys know the sarcasm here. Thanks, Nagy. We're not actually thanking him. We're actually kind of saying F Nagy, but in a classy way. So thanks, Nagy, for throwing Justin Fields to the Wolves in his first start and getting him absolutely obliterated. Okay, let's wrap it with this, because he was obviously asked, are you surprised by Justin Fields' struggles now? Year 3, it hasn't gone to plan early on this year, and he admitted, yeah, like, I am surprised it doesn't look better for Fields up to this point. And he also said this, a lot of the stuff you see on Fields' tape now was the concern coming out. Slow to process at times, not making quick decisions, but he also pointed to a reference. It's called the S2 test, and this came out like 5, 6, 7 years ago, right around the time in 2017 when they made their choice of Trubisky. It was too early, not enough data was there, but he said quarterbacks who score high on that process well at the next level. Like, the early returns on that have been pretty damn stout. There's been outliers, of course, he said, but if you test well on that, your ability to process in the NFL typically translates. And for Fields, he said he could end up being one of those outliers because it's not speeding up for him up to this point. And the numbers show that, and the tape shows that. He doesn't see things quickly enough when playing out of the pocket. Now, he also said, Lucas, that, and I've said this many a times, when you have a get-out-of-jail-free card, which is 4.3 speed and escapability, you're willing to live with some of those lumps and struggles early on from the pocket. But the fact that at times it looks worse than it did at times later in his rookie year and even early last year, like, it shouldn't be this ugly. It's year 3. And so that kind of fast forwards you to this current staff. Getsy, Janocko, Flus is the head coach. Like, why does it look like this? And that's why I refuse to put this all on Fields. Like, yeah, if he was transcendent, he would rise above it like a Mahomes, to Lucas's point. Like, he would have found a way. But that doesn't mean Fields should not be better than this. Like, I watched a guy at Ohio State, and even at times in his first 2 years, play with insane confidence and swagger. That's all gone away. Like, what is going on that you can't get this guy to play at a more comfortable level? It does not make any sense whatsoever, and the clock's ticking on it, because if he can't get out of this funk, if the coaches can't get him out of it, fair or not, they're going to go get another quarterback next year. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So you look ahead to this week now, Bears, Broncos. I mean, talk about an opportunity to get on track. Denver just gave up 70 points to Miami. I'm not expecting that, but can you get 25 plus, 26, 27 points, throw a couple touchdowns? Come on, man. Got to get something going this week. Broncos 3-point favorites at Soldier Field. Let us know who you got in this one. Type CHI for the Bears or DEN for the Denver Broncos. I picked Denver. I'm not confident in Chicago. They got to prove it to me, but give me a close game. Just be competitive. Let's start there. All right, guys, appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's show, hit that subscribe button. We'll be live again this afternoon, probably 4 o'clock Central, but if you have those noties turned on, you'll know exactly when we go live. Again, 670 The Score. Great work. Go check them out. They have a YouTube channel. This full interview is up there, so go give those guys some love. Really good stuff from Josh Lucas. We'll see you guys next time. Bear down.